Let's take a look at one of the simplest flies to tie, the muskrat nymph. We'll also tie a slightly more complicated version with a couple more materials. The muskrat nymph can imitate many different underwater insects, like freshwater isopods, scuds, arthropods like crayfish, crab, and shrimp, and of course, sow-bugs. You can see that all of these aquatic insects come in a variety of sizes, shapes, and colors, which makes this fly pretty customizable. I always have multiple variations and sizes in my fly box. Start out by getting your hook in the vise. In this case, it's a TMC 2457 in size 10. Attach any gray thread onto the hook. Here I'm using Orvis's 6/0 in light gray. Once on your hook, cut off the tag end. While the original pattern obviously calls for muskrat dubbing, here I'm using gray possum. You want to take just enough to make about 2 or 3 inches of a dubbing noodle. While I get my dubbing noodle ready, why not give us a like and subscribe to the channel? That way, you'll never miss a tutorial and you'll always be the first to know about our monthly giveaways. Start wrapping the dubbing onto your hook and get a nicely tapered body, starting thin towards the bend of the hook and getting thicker in the middle, then thin it out again by the time you reach the eye of the hook, sort of like a football or rugby ball shape. Once you're happy with the shape, get out your whip finishing tool and whip finish 3 or 4 times to secure everything in place. Cut off your thread and reach for your bodkin so you can pull out some of the extra dubbing to represent the legs and gills. You can use a Velcro dubbing brush as well. In this case, some of the strands are a little bit long, so we'll cut them off. Once you're happy with the fly shape, add a drop of head cement to finish things off. Now let's take a look at a muskrat nymph variation. We'll use the same hook, a TMC 2457, and add a gold bead. We're going to change the dubbing a bit this time, and we're going to add gold wire. Here I'm using Vineyard's French Gold size 25. 2 or 3 inches should be enough to tie a few flies. Secure the gold wire onto your hook and tie it right into the bend of the hook. Next we're going to add some shellback. Here I'm using Hens, which has a really nice UV shine to it. Add that onto the top of your hook using a pinch wrap and bring your thread to the bend of the hook, just where your gold wire starts. For the dubbing, I'm using Scud and Shrimp Gray from the SLF Dave Whitlock's Blend No. 1. But you can use almost any color in this pack and you'll have a great looking fly. Just like the symbol version of this pattern, you want to make a dubbing noodle about 2 or 3 inches long. Try and create the same taper as you did in the first fly, starting off thin at the bend of the hook, getting a bit fatter in the middle, and then thin it out again by the time you reach the gold bead. Here I'll add just a little bit more dubbing to fatten out the midsection. Bring your thread up to the bead of the hook and grab your shellback. Bring that right up behind the bead and lock it in with a few wraps of thread, making sure that you keep the shellback evenly on top of the fly. Cut off your extra thread and shellback and start wrapping your gold wire in nice even turns, making sure that your shellback stays on top of the fly. When you get the gold wire just behind the bead, wrap it tightly and secure it in place with your thread. Make a few wraps behind the wire and a couple in front before you helicopter it off. Take out your bodkin and pull out the dubbing that gets caught between the wraps of wire. Once you get a good amount of dubbing pulled down, cut off any strands on top of the hook. Grab your whip finishing tool and make a few wraps to hold everything in place. Cut off your thread, add a drop or two of head cement right behind the bead, and that's it. The enhanced muskrat beadhead nymph.